Hello, guys, and welcome back to TMG Entertainment. My name is Aaron Knoll, and thank you once again for turning into another film review. I'm sure you guys are sick of seeing my face over the last few days, but I've seen a lot of movies recently, and I feel like they're all worth talking about. And today, obviously, as the image showed, we will be discussing The Father, which is the brand new, recently nominated for 6 Academy Awards. It is a 2020 film that was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Actor and Best Supporting Actress, actually, for both the people you see there on the poster. But the film stars Anthony Hopkins as an aging man dealing with dementia and Olivia Colman as his dedicated daughter who is trying to take care of him. The film, which is director and writer Florian Zeller's debut, is told from the point of view of Anthony, which is the name of the character played by Hopkins, meaning that the film's story and structure is told through the lens of dementia. And you really get to see firsthand how it can affect a person's worldview. Um, the positives for this movie are almost never ending for me. This is going to be a very positive, heavy review. For starters, the acting in this film is next level. I'm not going to spoil anything because, spoiler alert, I am going to heavily recommend you try and see this film at the end of this. But the film's minimal cast, so it's got 6 actors in it, with the exception of Hopkins and Coleman. Every single actor in this film has to play more than one role. And they are playing different roles at any given time from scene to scene, depending on how Hopkins' mind interprets a scene. And this is a concept that could really throw people off quickly, and I think Zeller executes it expertly. And specifically, I want to name all 6 stars. So the other 4 actors are Mark Gatiss, who a lot of you guys may know as one of the writers and co-creators of the show Sherlock, and he worked on Doctor Who as well. Not known for his acting as much, but he's known more for his writing. But also Imogen Poots, Rufus Sewell, and Olivia Williams. All 4 of them, plus Hopkins and Coleman, I mean, just plaudits to all of them. It is some of the best acting overall in a film I've seen in a long time, especially from those 4, because every time they're in the film, they almost every time they are in the film, they are something slightly different, and it's very impressive how you manage to pull that much out of an actor. Um, just plaudits to all of them. They get every sequence they are in correct. I also have to give special credit, like, again, to just Florian Zeller is the gentleman's name. He directed this and he wrote it, co-wrote it with Christopher Hampton, who a lot of people will know for another Academy favorite from a few years ago, Atonement by Joe Wright. Excuse me, he wrote that. Um, this is Zeller's debut in film. He was a playwright and a play director before this. This was one of his plays previously. He's transferred it over to film as for his debut. And I think he executes everything about this brilliantly. He does a great job at confusing you, but in the best way possible. It's not confusing in that it's impossible to follow, but it's almost as if every time a story or a scene or a plot point is established and you're getting into it and you're getting into the acting and the emotion of the scene in the best way possible, as it probably is for a person who lives with this on a daily basis. The dementia aspect kicks in, and everything you've developed is just smashed to the ground and rebuilt, only for this to keep happening over and over and over again throughout the film. And again, I'm trying to stay away from talking about specifics too much because I do think this is a movie that everyone should see. If not only because I think it does such a great job at understanding something that not everybody understands. Dementia is such a hard thing to comprehend on paper, and I think that it does a beautiful job of portraying it, um, especially if you've never been around anybody who's had it, which may be part of the reason I love it so much. On my dad's side, not family related, but a great uncle who married into the family, one of the sweetest guys I've ever known, but he has dementia, and I've met him at different points in his life with the progression of it, and it's scary to watch from the outside, and now seeing it and understanding it and seeing certain things like the repeatment of conversations, things that they may not remember that to them is happening for the first time, but you have done this 3 times and they don't know any better. Things like that are just so well done, and everything they set up in this film is beautifully paid off with the conclusion in which Zeller breaks the mold of the film and establishes what really is reality. And it's incredibly heartbreaking when it happens, when you realize what parts of this have been true and what is just something nagging in his head that he can't get out of. Um, and even further, and again, this all goes back to the artistic vision of Zeller, but all the tiny details in this film take it one step further. The entire movie takes place in one apartment setting, but throughout the film, the constant details of the apartment are changed. Whether it's through the cinematography, the editing, the set decoration, the mood set by the different types of score and music they use. They use classical orchestra music at times in this. And just consistently showing shots of the apartment, if you're paying attention, if you're paying attention, um, you will notice just the little details that are changing in his environment, and it even more so continues to kind of unsettle you at how unstable the reality of this is, and the constant bending that's happening, and him thinking something is somewhere but it's somewhere else, and it's, things you think are there that aren't really there even. And it does such a good job at immersing you into the situation, because it's just a miserable situation. If I had to pull a negative, it's such a small negative, but by the nature of the film, you never get to properly build emotional connections with the characters outside of just the pity and anguish you feel for them. Um, but this isn't more an issue with the film. It's more just a personal thing that I noticed, because for me, a lot of the time, what makes the 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5 films for me is when you can draw an emotional connection to the characters. However, with the nature of the film and dementia and how this all works, you're so busy being steeped in the constant shifting and lack of understanding of the reality that it becomes hard to almost connect, and you almost start to distance yourself from connection, which again, I feel like has to be incredibly realistic. When you don't have a grasp of who's there and who's not, it's hard to always have that connection 100%. And so it's a personal thing that I noticed that I felt is worth calling out, because if you're someone who loves when a film can make you really emotionally feel and connect for its characters like I do, it may throw you off for a bit, so it's worth saying. But overall, to start wrapping up, The Father to me is a masterful stroke of filmmaking that tackles one of the most difficult topics I've ever seen in film, and one of the most unique ways that you will ever see it. I've seen multiple films that deal with mental illness, that deal with Alzheimer's, that deal with dementia. You see it handled in shows and films, and it's done in a lot of different ways, but I have never seen it done like this. And trying to make a film like this is a hard task, and Zeller and his team are up to it on every level with every little detail. They are up to making this film work. So much so that even my one flaw with it isn't a flaw. It's just a personal thing that I felt like noting, that I left even as I realized it wasn't a flaw. I left it in there because I think it's worth mentioning. Um the moment I saw this film, I went, that's a perfect film. The more and more I've thought about it, because since I saw it nearly a month ago now, very easily Judas and the Black Messiah is my number one in 2020. The more, and I did see this film a few days ago. I took some time to kind of sit on this one because of how much I loved it. Um, the more and more I think about it, I actually think The Father might be my number one of 2020. It's kind of floating between that 1 and 2 spot. But it is just an incredible force of nature of a film. And it well earned the nominations it has, and I hope it wins some. Um, like, especially if we're talking about like the performances, like Olivia Colman, I could easily see winning hers. And while I still believe Chadwick is the front runner, because I think his performance is the best thing about Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, in any other year, I think Hopkins can outshine some of the most recent Best Actor winners. With that said, though, if it's not obvious by the way I'm speaking, my score for this film is quite simply a 5 out of 5. I think this is one of the best films of the year. I think it's one of the best films I've seen in a long time. I think, especially if you know somebody who's going through something like this, I think it just tells the story in such a beautiful and understanding way that it will get to you and it will break you in a certain way, but in the best way possible. And I loved it for that. It's one of the best experiences I've had, thankfully, had in a theater, and I consider myself lucky to be able to comfortably go to a theater. But I got incredibly lucky to go to a screening for this, and it was a beautiful film. That being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and checking out this review. Thanks so much for checking out all the reviews I've been putting up over the last few days. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying them. That being said, be sure to subscribe, click the bell, rate the video, comment, anything you guys think. If you've seen this, let me know. If I've interested you in it, let me know as well. Because I hope I do. I really can't recommend this film enough to everybody. Even if you're not generally an Oscar person, I think this is a film that can connect to everybody. Because I think we all know what it's like to kind of lose a loved one, even if it's slowly, and that's really what this film is dealing with, especially from Olivia Colman's perspective. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please be sure to check out myself and the channel head Matt Beer are consistently putting up trailer reactions and movie reviews, so be sure to check those out as they go up. And be sure to check out all our podcast style content every single week. Almost every day we have something going up, so be sure to check it out. With that being said, guys, my name is Aaron Knoll. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.